Welcome Dan Gauthier. His shocking identity revealed on Days of Our Lives. Salem had seen its fair share of shockwaves, resurrections that defied science, twins revealed decades too late, masks peeled away to expose long-buried sins, but nothing prepared the town for the moment Dan Gauthier stepped back into the frame. The doors of Horton Square swung open beneath a grey, uneasy sky, and with one quiet look, he brought the past crashing into the present.
This wasn't just a return. This was a reckoning.
Fans had whispered for weeks. Casting rumors fluttered like restless ghosts. But when the truth finally emerged, it didn't just shake Salem. It rewrote its history. Welcome back, Dan Gauthier. And welcome to the most shocking identity reveal Days of Our Lives has delivered in years.
Salem was unusually quiet that morning.
The cafe windows rattled as the wind kicked up, leaves skittering across the square like nervous secrets trying to escape. Melina Evans felt it first, a tightness in her chest she couldn't explain, the kind that came before a breakthrough, or a breakdown. Across the square, a man stood watching the town like it owed him something. Dan Gauthier's presence was subtle but commanding. A tailored coat, eyes that held both regret and resolve, and a posture that suggested he had come not to visit, but to reclaim. He looked older, yes, but there was an unmistakable familiarity in his gaze. Longtime residents felt it instinctively. We know him, don't we?
Julie Williams stopped short when she saw him. Her breath caught. No, she whispered.
It can't be.
But it was.
It didn't take long for rumors to spread. Salem thrives on secrets, but it feeds on revelations. Is that?
No way. I thought he was dead.
I heard he changed his name. I heard the D.I. Merrirs erased him. Each theory grew wilder than the last. Chad D.I. Merrir ordered a background check within minutes of hearing the name.
Kate Roberts narrowed her eyes and poured herself a stiff drink.
Roman Brady felt a chill crawl up his spine, the kind that came when old cases reopened themselves. And John Black, who knew better than anyone that identity in Salem was a fragile thing, felt the past stirring like a beast waking from sleep. At first, he introduced himself simply.
Daniel, he said. Daniel North. A lie.
Or at least, not the whole truth.
Melina saw through it almost instantly. The pauses were too deliberate. The memories he avoided were too specific.
And when she mentioned certain events from the late 80s, his reaction, brief but unmistakable, confirmed her suspicion. You've been here before, she told him gently during a private session he hadn't scheduled but somehow needed. Daniel North met her gaze. I never really left. The reveal came not with fireworks, but with silence. It happened during a memorial service, one of many Salem held far too often. As names were read aloud, one particular name echoed through the church.
Victor's long-lost nephew. Presumed dead.
Erased from family records after a scandal that threatened to dismantle the empire. And suddenly, all eyes turned to Dan Gauthier's character.
Maggie Horton's hands trembled. Sonny Kyriakis felt the room spin.
And Xander, never one to miss a twist of fate, smiled slowly, dangerously. So, Xander murmured, the prodigal son returns.
Daniel North closed his eyes. My name, he said quietly, is Alexander.
And I was never meant to survive. The story Alexander told shattered illusions. Years ago, Victor had ordered his disappearance, not out of cruelty, but fear. Alexander had uncovered a secret shipment, something that tied the Kyriakis empire to a crime so dark it would have destroyed them all.
Victor made a choice. A terrible one.
Alexander was given a new identity, forced into exile, told Salem would never be safe for him again.
But secrets rot, Alexander said.
And rot spreads.
Now Victor was gone.
And with him, the promise of silence. The D.I. Merrirs didn't like surprises, especially ones tied to the Kyriakis' legacy. Stefan D.I. Merrir wasted no time confronting Alexander. The tension crackled between them, a mix of rivalry and reluctant respect. You think coming back gives you power?
Stefan sneered. No, Alexander replied.
It gives me truth. But truth in Salem is dangerous currency.
Someone tried to kill him that night.
Her name was Eve Donovan.
Years ago, she had loved a man who vanished without goodbye.
A man whose face now stared back at her from across the square. When Eve confronted Alexander, the pain was raw, volcanic.
You let me believe you were dead, she cried. I let you live, he answered.
Because loving me was a death sentence. Their reunion reignited old wounds, and an old fire that refused to die.
John Black uncovered what no one else could. The shipment Alexander had discovered wasn't drugs or weapons. It was people.
A human trafficking ring that reached into the highest levels of Salem's elite, long before it was dismantled. Victor had shut it down, but not before silencing the one man who could expose it.
This goes deeper than we thought, John warned Melina.
And Alexander's return threatens everyone involved,
including people still alive.
Fear turned to suspicion.
Some called Alexander a hero.
Others called him a liar. The tabloids branded him the ghost Kyriakes.
Threats appeared on his door. His car was tampered with. And one night, he found a message scrawled in red paint. But Alexander refused. I didn't survive all this to run, he said. Just when Salem thought it knew everything.
Another truth emerged.
Alexander wasn't just Victor's nephew.
He was the biological father of a legacy character, conceived during a secret affair decades ago. An affair covered up to protect reputations and fortunes. The revelation sent shockwaves through families, marriages, and alliances.
DNA results confirmed it. There was no denying it now.
Salem's future had just been rewritten. Dan Gauthier's return wasn't about nostalgia.
It was about consequence.
Alexander Kyriakes stood at the center of a storm, wanted by enemies, protected by few, loved by someone who never stopped believing he'd come back. And as Salem braced itself for what came next, one thing became painfully clear. This wasn't the end of the story.
It was the beginning of a war.
With Alexander's shocking identity revealed, the fallout is just beginning.
A Kyriakes civil war is brewing.
A Di-Mera alliance threatens deadly consequences.
A forbidden romance reignites.
A buried crime resurfaces with modern victims.
And Salem faces a truth it can no longer ignore.
Dan Gauthier's return marks a bold new chapter, one steeped in mystery, betrayal, and redemption.